Alright, so this is the GS4. After I sorted him out, this is the one that came in that I showed the packing issues where it slides back and forth, and after I went and evaluated it, pulled it apart, basically it's all good except for it had a Richmond Controls lighting circuit in here, so that'll be popped out, and then I'll put the original, or put an original light board and frame back in here, and I'll modify that front light board so it fits in there, and then it will get a ESU sound decoder and speaker and a new set of drivers, and so we'll see where we go from here. So this was that GS4 that had the busted drawbar. So I've gone ahead, and I'm not going to take the cover plate off here, but I re-drivered it, and I put a shim behind the fourth driver to keep the bearings from unseating themselves, and I just put a DC board in here for the time being, because before I go ahead and install LokSound in it, I wanted to actually make sure it runs correctly, and I had it over my test track and it was running pretty decently, so I think we can proceed to the next step, which is rip this thing apart, strip all these components off, and then wire a decoder in here. Alright, so what we got here is a Kato Superliner that has been fitted with an ESU function-only decoder down there and a resistor bank to do two different things. We drilled out, and we've added marker lights to the rear that will shine at the when the car is lit up. Let's see if I can get it. There's that right there. So those are just 0402 LEDs, and that heat shrink tubing is a couple of 47k ohm resistors. And then over here, since I was running this anyways, or since that decoder's in there and it has more than a couple functions, I put well, the lighting kit was already in there. I clipped the two wires off of there, soldered it in there, so, and then function mapped it. So basically, the decoder controls the interior lighting, so you can turn that on and off. And you can turn the marker lights off and on. So I'll get this together and get some more video of it. Alright, how's it going, everybody? So we're just going to do, we're going to kind of combine talking about some stuff with some proof of life videos, just because I got to get some stuff kicked out the door here. What you're idling there is a Kato P42 that was converted to ESU LokSound with a V5 micro installed in the frames machine. It's got an 11 by 17 sugar cube. Basically got one of these guys in there, and so on and so forth. You've seen me do those before. Here's, since I just happen to have one handy, here's a frame that's been cut out to take the speaker in the back. This one has the optional ditch light upgrade on it. I did a couple of these. Let's see if I can pull this forward. So, did a couple of these for this customer, and we'll get back to that. But they also sent in a bunch of Superliners that they wanted. They already had installed lighting kits, but they wanted the Kato FR11 function room lighting decoders. That's these little guys installed. So the problem with the Superliners is the interior light kit was designed prior to it being able to take the FR11. So basically the plastic inserts with the cabin, or not the cab, the passenger car interiors needs to be cut out so slightly, so when you mate that FR11 with the light kit, it will actually fit down in there correctly. And it's not terribly difficult, but it does take some time and some thinking through. And so with that, I'm not going to show the whole train, but I can toggle we can toggle that. Now, on the tail car of this guy, and I'll get around to showing that once this goes around a few laps. The tail car of this car, there's a sleeper on the end that I went and I installed a 59120 ESU function-only decoder in the sleeper, so it controls the interior light in there. And then that's just one of the little function-only decoders. I couldn't find any more FL12s to do this with, so that's what I used to control red marker lights that were added to the rear, or tail lights, whatever you want to call them. So, without further ado, I'll just flash those back and forth. Wow, so fancy. And we will go 161. We got some alternating flash and ditch light actions there. Yeah, you can latch the bell, so every time you honk the horn, it does that. And I think it's F26 to throw it into HEP mode where the prime mover is running all the time. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But oh, it's kind of neat to see this all together with lights running. So I always find it amusing. So we had a slight derailment here on one of my turnouts here. This thing ran fine for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes down here before I decided to shoot video. And as I'm shooting video, of course, it's like the one time the Superliners like to derail over there. I think there's a problem with that switch, and I'll eventually tweak that at some point, but neither here nor there. So, even over here, things don't always go according to plan. Alright, so this is the Superliner that has the function-only decoder in it from ESU. That has the marker lights drilled out and 0402 LEDs added. So, like I said, F1 on this controls the interior light. Ooh, check that out. Fancy, I can toggle that on and off. 6 toggles the marker lights on and off. So, fantastic. And since we're here, we got another P42. Same situation as the other one before. LokSound V5 Micro installed, and separate alternating ditch lights, yada yada yada. So I will give that some sound, some lights, and nice and loud. So I'm not going to dwell too far on this one, because it is basically identical to the other one. Just wanted to prove it's alive. So I think it's safe to say that guy works. So as it's going through the shutdown sequence, we will move on. Alright, next up is an SD70M flared radiator Kato model. This one has a Kato 58741 board and a 15x8 speaker with a 3D printed housing that I printed here. The 70M, the 70 ACEs, the 70 Max, and all those, and even the ES44, C44s, they all have similar setups where it takes that same board. It's nice little feature of those things. So we're going to turn some of that on. Whoops, actually helps if I select the right loco, huh? There we go. And we will turn on some headlights eventually. There we go. So this does have independently controlled ditch lights. See, I can turn those off and on. Customer didn't include the number boards or package in there, so to me it looks kind of weird with those big gaps in there, but that's on them to rectify that situation. So it looks like we just installed sound in a speaker and loaded up that sound file. So I'm sure they'll probably make some adjustments to suit their taste. But it is alive. Alright, so that's the SD70M flared radiator unit with a 58741 board in it. Alright, and then finally we have a GS4. And for those of you playing the home game and watching this, if you recall my video on how not to ship a GS4 and how they like to destroy themselves in the earlier cases, this is that unit, all repaired, put back together. It got new drawbars, a new light board in it, and a bunch of other tweaking to get it to work correctly. And then I installed an ESU 58731 board and an ESU 11 by 17 sugar cube in there. It's got rear lights, separate independently controlled Mars light. Also, my friend Jared down in Australia sent me a couple of CV changes he thought might be helpful for anyone if you think my chuff rate was too slow for the factory default, to speed it up. And I'm very aware that wheel rotation is supposed to be 4 chuffs for every turn of the wheel or something like that. So the defaults on there was CV57 was 150, so I set this to 50 for his recommendation, and CV58 was default at 40, and he recommended 12. So it's going to sound a lot chuffier, for lack of a better term. Personally, you know, it's a matter of personal preference. You know, sound does scale to some degree, but so I went ahead and I tried it on this one, so we'll see how that turns out. So let us get some sound going here. We'll get the headlight going there, and we'll get the Mars light going there. And there you go. The GS4 that was repaired from this unfortunate experience in shipping, and ESU LokSound installed. And then coming up, I dug a Kato out of storage because I keep getting pestered by some individuals to actually install sound in one of those. So I dug one of mine out of cold storage. So one of these days I'll get to that. And then I've got a Twilight Express and then a bunch of other random stuff to do. The Twilight Express should be pretty cool because it's a neat model that most people are not aware of. But we'll get to that soon enough. But anyways, hey, thanks for watching. I know this has been a long video. Have a great day.